Hello everyone, hope all of you are fine. So, dear children, today we are going to start a new lesson, plant growth and development. The seed germinate to produce seedlings. Seedlings grow first into juvenile plant which develop only a vegetative organ. Later on it begins to produce flowers, fruits, seeds. Unlike animals, plants do not stop growing after reaching maturity. They continue to grow and bear new roots, leaves, branches, flowers, etc. While roots, stem, and their branches have indefinite growth, other organs like leaves, flowers, and fruit show limited or definite growth. They appear and fall off periodically and sometimes repeatedly. There is a high order of succession of the events. A plant consists of billions of cells arranged in a specific tissue and organs. All of them are descendant of single cell called zygote. However, by their specific complex organization is formed that produces roots, leaves, branches, flowers, fruits, and seeds. After a period of growth, differentiation, and development, each plant dies. There are a number of intrinsic, that is, internal, and extrinsic or external factors which control various development processes. Now let's discuss germination of the seed. Seed germination is sprouting of the seed due to growth and development of its embryo to form a seedling. A seed can germinate only when it has favorable internal and external conditions. Favorable internal condition: non-dormancy or completion of dormancy. Viability, that is, embryo of the seed is alive and capable of resuming growth. Sufficient storage of food. Maturation of embryo. So these are the favorable internal conditions. Now favorable external conditions include availability of water, oxygen, optimum temperature, that is 25 degree to 35 degrees Celsius. In some cases, light and particular pH is also essential. In absence of favorable external or exogenous conditions, a non-dormant seed is said to be quiescent state or quiescence. In presence of favorable external condition, variable non-dormant seeds imbibe water through the micropyle and seed coat. The seed coat softens, it becomes soft. Okay, the seed kernel swells up and rupture and softens seed coat. Imbibition of water is first step of the seed germination. So here the imbibition of water is taking place. The embryo becomes active. It produces hormones and enzymes for hydrolysis of the stored polysaccharides, proteins and the lipids. Respiration is initially anaerobic. Soon it becomes aerobic. Rate of respiration also increases. The mobilized nutrient reach the embryo cell. They grow, divide and differentiate. Radical grow, break the seed coat and come out to form the first root. Emergence of the radicle is the first sign of the seed germination. There is now increased absorption of the water. Rate of embryo growth rate increases. Plumule grows to produce the shoot system. It converts the seed into the seedling which is capable of maturing its own food. Growth of the plumule is accompanied by rapid growth of either hypocotyle or epicotyle. Cotyledon remain inside, come out of the soil along with enclosed plumule when hypocotyle grows. It is known as epigeal germination as it is seen in the beans. Next case is vivipary. It is germination of the seed while it is attached to the parental plant and is being nourished by it. Vivipary occur in the mangrove plants. Okay, in case of mangrove plants, the vivipary is absorbed. For example, Rhizophora soniratia. Okay, these are the example of the viviparous plants which grow in the saline marsh along the seashore. Seeds cannot germinate in saline marshes due to high salinity. Such seeds do not undergo dormancy. While attached to the parent, the embryo of the seed grow out to form seedling with long hypocotyle. Being heavy, the seedling falls down in the saline marsh in the vertical position with plumule remaining out. The radicle soon develops later roots for proper anchorage of the seedling. Now let's discuss about the growth. Growth is often referred to as increase in the size or weight, fresh or dry of the cell, organ or the organism. However, increase in the size can occur without growth as absorption of water by the flaccid cell or regaining of turgidity by the wilted leaf. Similarly, during germination of the seed, there is an actual fall of dry weight though the size in the fresh weight increases. Therefore, growth is defined as a permanent or irreversible increase in dry weight, size, mass, or the volume of a cell, organ, or organism. Okay, the growth in living being is intrinsic, that is internal. Okay, it is in contrast to extrinsic growth observed in non-living objects like enlargement of the stone or the swelling of the piece of the wood placed in the water. In living beings, irreversible increase in the size, mass, or volume is an external manifestation of the growth. It is also called apparent growth. Real growth consists of formation of new protoplasm. This is possible only when the rate of synthesis of new protein, carbohydrate, and other protoplasmic constituent is higher than the rate of their breakdown. It occurs at the expense of energy. In plant, growth is accomplished by cell division, increase in the cell number, and cell enlargement. Therefore, growth is a quantitative phenomenon. Okay, growth is a quantitative phenomenon. It can be measured in relation to time. Now, plant growth is generally indeterminate. In lower plant, growth is diffuse as every cell can divide and enlarge. Higher plant possess specific areas which take part in the formation of new cells. There are areas called meristems. Meristems are of three types we have studied in our previous classes: apical meristem, intercalary meristem. In this 11th class also we have done. So, and lateral meristem. On account of presence of the meristem or the growing points, the plant growth is localized. That means growth take place in particular places. The body of the plant is built on a modular fashion with discrete unit or stages where structure is never complete because the tips with apical meristem are open-ended, always growing and forming new organ to replace the older or the senescent ones. Cells of the meristematic region have the capacity to divide and self-perpetuate. They produce cells which lose the capacity to divide and enter G0 phase for undergoing differentiation to form particular tissue and organ. Root apical meristem, that is RAM, and shoot apical meristem, that is SAM, contribute cell for elongation of the plant parallel to its axis. It is primary growth. Another meristematic tissue or meristemat contribution to the primary growth is intercalary meristem. Okay, that is located above the nodes in the grasses and related plants. In some cases, it is functional throughout the life of the plant. However, Intercalary meristem present in leaf and flower primordia has a short period of activity. It is consumed in the formation of the organs. The meristem which is consumed in the formation of an organ is called determinate meristem. The meristem which continue its activity throughout life of the plant is called indeterminate meristem. The root apical meristem, shoot apical meristem, intercalary meristem, for example grass, and lateral meristem are all intermediate meristem. The lateral meristem contribute its tissue for growth and the growth in the gut. The secondary growth occur in the dicot and the gymnosperm only. There are two types of lateral meristem which contribute to the secondary growth, that is vascular cambium forms secondary xylem and secondary phloem, and cork cambium that forms the secondary cortex. Growth is measurable. At cellular level, growth is due to increase in the amount of protoplasm. However, it is difficult to measure increase in the protoplasm. Increase in the protoplasm lead to increase in the cell number and cell size. This fact is used in calculating growth, which therefore is quantitative or measurable phenomenon. The parameter used for measuring growth are increase in fresh weight, dry weight, length, area, volume, and cell numbers. At the cellular level, growth occur at a tremendous pace. A single cell of root meristem of maize produce more than 17,500 new cells every hour. That means in maize, every hour 17,500 new cells are produced. In watermelon, a newly formed cell increases by size up to 350,000 times during its enlargement. Both increase in the cell number and cell size constitute the basic of the growth. However, all structures do not show this parameter. A pollen tube grows only in the length, while growth of a dorsiventral leaf is measurable as increase in the area. Rate of the growth is the growth per unit time. Rate of the growth is measured in the growth per unit time. Rate of the plant growth is slow. In early stage, it is called lag phase. Slow phase is called lag phase. It is then increases during the exponential phase. So in exponential phase, the growth is rapid, followed by slowing down and then becoming stationary for organs of limited growth, or steady for the organ of unlimited growth. The last phase is due to limitation of the nutrients. That means at the end, the limitation of the nutrient limit the growth. Now phases of the growth we'll discuss. Plant growth take place in three steps or phases: formative, enlargement, and differentiation. Formative phase, it is also called the phase of cell formation or cell division. Okay, formative cell is also phase is also known as the cell formation or cell division. It is at root apex, shoot apex, and other regions having meristematic tissue. New cells are produced by mitotic division of the meristematic cell. The meristematic cell have thin cellulose wall, dense protoplasm, and large nucleus. Plasmodesmal connection occur abundantly amongst the meristematic cell. Mitosis adds new cell to the body. The rate of mitosis is very high. Apical meristem of the maize root adds some 17,500 new cells every hour. All the cells are genetically similar because in mitosis the chromosomes are replicated and divided equally, both quantitatively as well as in the qualitatively. Mitosis is therefore is called the somatic cell division. In higher plants, formative phase occur in the meristem or the growing parts. As the formation of new cell require intense biosynthetic activity, the rate of respiration in the cells of fermentic phase is very high. Due to cell division, the growing point shows some increase in their size. Next we have is the phase of enlargement. The newly formed cell grows for produce in the formation or formative phase undergo enlargement. The cell walls of the enlarging cell shows plastic extension through the enzymatic loosening of microfibrils and deposition of new material, that is into susceptions. Okay, the enlarging cells also develop a central vacuole. Growth due to cell enlargement is very high. Cell in the watermelon fruit increase about 3 lakh 50 times 50,000 times. The rate of respiration is high but less than that of the cell in the formative phase. The phase is found just behind the growing point and is mainly responsible for growth of the plant parts. Cell enlargement may occur in all direction as in isodiametric parenchymatous cells. In many parts, cells enlargement take place prominently in the linear direction, so much so that phase is also called the phase of cell elongation. Maximum elongation occur in conducting tissue and the fibers. Now next phase is the phase of differentiation or maturation. The enlarged cell develop into the spatial or the particular type of cell by undergoing structural and physiological differentiation. Through the structural differentiation, a cell attain a particular shape, size, thickening, and internal constitution. In physiological differentiation, a cell take up particular function, absorption by the root hair, transfer of metabolites by transfer cells, photosynthesis by mesophyll cells, conduction by the sieve tube cells, tracheids and vessels. Both structural and physiological differentiation produce various tissues and the cell types. The diverse cell types observed in the root are epidermis, cortex, vascular tissue, etc. Now, next we have is the growth curves. Growth curve, it is the graphic representation of total growth against time. The period of time in which the growth take place has been called the grand period of growth by Sachs in 1873. The rate of growth is not uniform during the grand period of the growth if total growth is plotted against time as S-shaped or sigmoid curve is obtained. It consists of four parts: lag phase, log phase, exponential phase, and phase of diminishing growth, and stationary phase, that is the steady growth for organ or organisms of indefinite growth. Here you can see the growth curve. Now, growth is slow in the lag phase, rapid during the log or exponential phase, slow again during the phase of diminishing growth. Growth stops completely during the stationary phase. The various parts of growth curve correspond respectively to formative phase, phase of enlargement, phase of differentiation, and mature state. Lag phase is also called grand phase of the growth. Sometimes rate of maximum growth of log phase is maintained for some time. It is then known as linear phase. It appears as an upright line in the growth curve. Now measurement of the growth. Growth is measured through measuring increase in the length, stem, root, pollen tube, increase in the volume, fruit, increase in the area, leaves, increase in the diameter, tree trunks, fruit, increase in the fresh or dry weight. Various mode of measuring increase in the length are direct method, horizontal method, then arc or lever axonometer. Okay. Now, direct method growth in length is measured at interval of few days by means of a scale that is not much use, as in case growth over short period cannot be measured. Next is horizontal or traveling microscope. It is a device for measuring growth more accurately than by means of a scale. A point is marked every near the tip of growing shoot by means of India ink. The horizontal or traveling microscope is focused over this point. After a definite interval, the marked point is observed under this microscope. It has to be raised for the same because due to growth the point on the shoot rises above the previous level. The distance through which the microscope is raised is measure for the growth in the length of the shoot during the interval. Next we have is the arc or the lever axonometer. It is consists of a pulley which is attached to the pointer or large needle. The pointer has two unequal arms. The long arm can move over the graduated arc. The short arm possesses an adjustable large screw by which the weight of the pointer can be adjusted so that long arm can move freely over the arc upside down. Arc axonometer magnifies growth. The magnification is equal to the length of the long arm as measured from the center of the pulley divided by the radius of the pulley. Unspun silken thread is tied to the stem tip of the plant, the shoot growth of which is to be measured. The other end of the thread is tied to a small shoot, small weight. The pass the thread over the pulley so that some weight hung down freely. The same weight keeps the thread stretched. It also helps the pulley to move along with its movement. As the stem grew in length, the small weight moves downwardly. The pulley and the pointer also move. The distance through which the pointer move is read on the graduated arc. Now next method is automatic oxenometer. Now that was through the manual process, and now if automatic system is applied, that is through the automatic uh, oxenometer. It consists of double or compound pulley, a revolving cylinder with a smoked paper and pointer. The revolving cylinder can register growth on a smoked paper with the help of pointer. The double pulley magnifies growth. The magnification is equal to the radius of the larger pulley divided by the radius of the smaller pulley. Unspun silken thread is tied to the stem tip of the plant. The free end of the thread is attached to small weight. The thread is now passed over the smaller pulley in the direction opposite to that of the revolving cylinder. Another thread is passed over the large pulley. It bears small weight at both its free ends. These threads bear an horizontal pointer on the side of revolving cylinder. The pointer is in contact with the smoked paper which is wrapped or pasted over the revolving cylinder. The smoked paper is prepared by passing plain paper over burning camphor or oil lamp. Graph paper can also be used instead of the smoked one. In that case, the tip of the pointer is inked. The clockwork of revolving cylinder is started. As growth occurs, the two pulley will move with the downward movement of the weight attached to one and attached to the other end of the thread connected to the stem tip of the plant. If no growth occur, the pointer will mark only an horizontal line on the smoked paper. A staircase-like line will show the diurnal pattern of growth. The automatic axonometer is an improvement over the arc axonometer. It can register total growth rate of the growth at specific time and overall pattern of the growth. Now let's discuss about the increase in cell number. In bacteria, yeast and many algae, the rate of growth is estimated by increase in their number of cell. Increase of the weight is also another method of estimating growth. Both fresh and dry weight are used for measuring growth. Fresh weight is used for measuring the growth in the fruits, bulb, corms, root, etc. Dry weight is used for actual measurement of the growth. For this, organs are dried in an oven at 110 degrees Celsius for several hours. Increase in the volume. It is used in case of fruits. The fruit is dipped in the water. Increase in the level of the water will indicate the volume of the fruit. Increase in the diameter. The method is used in case of the globular and cylindrical organ, for example fruits, tree trunk, vernier, capillaries for small organs, and measuring tape for large organs are used. Increase in the surface area. It is used for measuring growth in the flat organs like leaves. Increase in the surface area is measured by placing leaf on standard graph paper and drawing its outline at fixed interval. Now next is growth rate. So growth rate, increase in the growth per unit time is called the growth rate. Growth rate may result in arithmetic or geometric group. Okay, so the growth can be arithmetic or the geometric. So first let's discuss the arithmetic growth. Arithmetic growth, it is a type of growth in which the rate of growth is constant and increase in growth occur in arithmetic progress. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Constant, okay. The arithmetic growth is found in root or shoot elongating at constant rate. Meristematic cells at the growing point divide in such a fashion that one daughter remain meristematic while the other grows and differentiate. The process continue mathematically. Arithmetic growth is expressed as LT equal to L0 plus RT, where LT is equal to length after time T, L0 is length at the beginning, R is the growth rate. On plotting the growth against time, a linear curve is obtained. You can see the graph. Now next we have is geometric growth. It is quite common in unicellular organism when growth is quite grown in nutrient rich medium. Okay, here every cell divide, the daughter cell daughters grow and divide, the granddaughter repeat the process, and so on. The number of cell is initially small so that in initial growth is slow. Later on there is rapid growth at exponential rate. It is called log or exponential growth. An embryo initially shows geometric growth in the cell, but later it passes into the arithmetic phase. You can see in the diagram. Okay, now we'll discuss some of the curves. Okay, first we have sigmoid curve. Geometric growth cannot be sustained for long. Some cells die. Limited nutrient availability causes slowing down of the growth. It leads to stationary phase. There may be actually a decline. Plotting the growth against time will give a typical sigmoid or S-shaped curve or S-curve. Okay, the S-curve of the growth is typical of most living organism in their natural environment. It also occur in the cell tissue and organ of the plant. However, S-curve of individual cell tissues organs and organism may not be synchronized because one cell after differentiation may enter the stationary phase while the second one after being formed may be in the lag phase. Similarly, some leaves of a branch growing exponentially may be just formed, others showing lag phase, log phase, and mature phase. Some leaves may be in the process of abscission, that is death. Some leaves may be in the process of abscission. Most plants also show their seasonal growth. The S-shaped growth curve would exhibit small stationary phase at the end of each annual growth. Now we have law of compound interest, that is the exponential growth. Now growth is dependent on three factors: initial size, that is W0, rate of the growth, that is R, and sum, and the time interval for which the rate of the growth can be retained. It is just like deposition money in a bank. The money will grow at compound interest. Growth will depend upon the initial size, amount of money deposited, rate of the growth, rate of the interest, and period for which it is sustained, that is period of time in the bank. So W1, okay, W1 is equal to, that is the final size, is equal to W0, okay, E raised to the power RT. Here W1 is the final size, W0 is the initial size, R is the growth rate, T is the time of the growth, while E is the base of natural logarithm. Okay, the value is 2.71828. The magnitude of R, or rate of the growth, has been called the efficiency index by the Blackman in 1919. As the organ and organism with higher rate value will outperform other with low R value. Quantity comparison between growth of various systems can be made by